All right, today is the 4th of July, one of Los Angeles's most storied parks. For good or bad. We're in the Westlake neighborhood of Los Angeles. This is 7th Street right here. This used to have a streetcar line, so it was very convenient to get to downtown LA. Probably at the turn of the century there was a little bit of a skyline off in the distance forming. And it's been about a year or so, maybe a year and a half since I came here last. Last time I was here was right after all of the repairs and restoration that took place. Still looks like it's in pretty decent shape. This is one of my favorite parts of the park right here because this giant tree, this giant ball of shade. And some unfortunate littering. That kind of sucks. They have staff that comes through here about once a day. So there's like 2 ingredients to this problem because people leave trash at a high rate here and they don't clean it up quickly enough. But aside from the little trash nuggets, it's still pretty peaceful here. So being in a public park with my little doggies on the 4th of July just kind of feels so different than when I was a kid because the quest was always to get a hold of the illegal fireworks and firecrackers and stuff. So it's genuine human hypocrisy in action here because I can't stand fireworks now. I absolutely despise them. And all it took was having little animals that become distressed when they're going off around. And it's like, okay, well, no, clearly that's no good. So we're gonna get our walk in early because it's gonna be crazy this afternoon. And I don't want them getting all stressed out over it. And there we have one of the original 5 Metro Red Line stations. Hey, thanks, man. So I don't have any experience with this park in the 90s. I started coming here probably about the late 2000s, maybe like 2011. But the culture at this park, I'm sure, is generational. Quite a few parks like this in LA. If you go to Hollenbeck Park, it's very similar. There's people that have been coming here for forever, all their lives, and their parents went here, and even their grandparents went here. So I guess in the 90s, this place, I saw 30 murders in this park in 1 year. It's like less than every 2 weeks someone was killed, murdered in this park. That's a pretty troubling statistic. But if you come here during the day, it's pretty safe. There's just the usual oddballs and characters and stuff like that. But if you're here in a group especially, you're fine. Looks like we never got our tunnel back. That's a shame.
That's a hell of a way to treat a vet, man.
You're an animal doctor?
No, a vet. A veteran. I was in Nam, man.
What were you, a drummer boy? You must have been 10 years old.
I meant the golf. I meant to say the golf. Jesus. Come on. All I'm asking for is a little change. I haven't eaten in 3 days. Well, I mean, except for this. Oh, fuck it. Come on. Give me some money, man. Just give me some money.
No.
How about the change in your pocket? I don't care if it's a dime. Give it to me.
I'm not giving you any money.
You got a cigarette?
I don't smoke.
Oh, come on, man. You got to give me something.
Yeah, why don't you try to get a job?
Hey, this is my park. I live here. Who the fuck are you walking through my park carrying 2 bags? You got 2 bags. I don't got any. Is that fair? Huh? What's in those bags anyway? Huh? Give me one of those bags. I could sell those bags.
So the park used to continue another block to the north until Wilshire Blvd went from the ocean to right over there. And for some reason they were hell-bent on getting Wilshire, well, obviously they were hell-bent on getting vehicles from West LA straight down Wilshire into downtown LA. So the park, they could have done a cool bridge or viaduct or something, but no, they went with the cheapest option for whatever political reasons at the time. It had to be done cheaply, so they did it just like this. And they tried to save the north portion of the lake, but I guess they weren't able to keep it filled. So the north part of the park is more local, a lot busier, and if I recall, a lot more trash. But I'll give Macarthur Park a C- right now because there is trash, but honestly, if I came down here with a trash bag, I could pick this up in like maybe 45 minutes, this whole section here. So I might do that in the future because I do enjoy public cleanups, especially parks that are otherwise beautiful.
Hey!
Looks like the grass. What's up, guys? There's lots of I don't know how to greet people. I don't like ignoring though, because that's kind of defeats the purpose of having these videos. You just kind of deal with what interactions you come up with. And here's the next tunnel, which is also locked up. What the hell's going on? This is silly. Why? That's kind of neglectful. Apparently this sits, not so much anymore, but the original lake sat on top of a bubbling spring. And I don't know what they did with it after they did the subway. So when they built the Red Line subway in the early 1990s, the station's right kind of dead center over there, they drained the lake. So I'm sure there's a naturally occurring water source, but I'm sure they use some sort of recycled water or municipal water to refill it. And there's fish in there. People like fishing. So this is one of the original great parks of Los Angeles as it spread out from the downtown area, which was pretty much all of Los Angeles at one time. And this would have been the western boundary. And after the 1920s, kind of right in line with Wilshire Blvd, a lot of development started to head towards the west, which includes Hancock Park. So LA has kind of always been chasing the elite. And wherever the elite move to, there is a wave of prosperity and development that happens in between. Alright, so I think we've seen enough of the park. There's too many fireworks. So we're back to 7th Street, 7th and Parkview. So currently there's development plans across the street from the park on top of the metro stop. And then just to the west, this is where Westlake turns into Koreatown. So they got these cool old buildings for days. I hope we preserve all of these. And then in the background is some mid-century office buildings. You got these prestigious masonry buildings next to these little huts. I think I know what this was. There was a push around the turn of the century to build low-income, kind of more single occupancy housing. So I don't know if that's the case there, but you'll see these little one-story bungalow courts all over the place. So that's 7th Street down there, and you can kind of see where Wilshire veers a little bit of a left, because all the streets coming out of downtown are at an angle, and then Wilshire does its beeline to the ocean. You got some real old buildings back there too. So there's a crazy mix of old and new. There's your classic wood-framed shitbox. And you got that next to these buildings are at least 100 years old. And I don't know when that was built, but I would say sometime in the 90s. This was the most common type of housing, multifamily housing built in LA for quite a while. And it tries to address lots of things. Number one, the residents are in a fortress, and the parking, I don't know if this building has parking, maybe in the alley, but typically they sit on top of parking, which this building probably does here. Let's see, little Pocket Park. It is small, but hey, there's trees. So not a bad little thing. I would guess that a park like this came from assessments on residential, but who knows? Oh my God, look at that building. That building sucks. So a lot of random developments in parts of LA came from the aftermath of the riots. Look, there's another giant project off there. So there was lots and lots and lots of property fires that destroyed many different structures and left a lot of blight on the neighborhood. So, but I think I'm starting to talk in broad strokes. LA is just such a huge place. It's really hard to bring a solid explanation to it. You just got to kind of keep showing examples. And this would be an example of something built in maybe the 80s or the 90s. I'm sure someone that lived in the area at the time would be able to give me a lot more insight about what development came when. And off in the distance is the Ritz-Carlton, over a mile away from us. We're heading back towards Alvarado. I think we're on 8th Street. And so when sometimes I'll hear someone's explanation about driving around LA or walking through LA, and this is quintessential right here. These random fortresses. Some of them are just they don't die, they don't fade away, so I don't know how that works. Here's another, I would call that late 80s. That was kind of all the rage. You can actually see the parking garage underneath it. So they thought they solved all of life's problems there, but those little balconies and the underground parking. Little did they know. That's probably our cue to get in the car and go chill out at home. It's a beautiful day today. It's like 76 degrees. So it doesn't quite feel like the dog days of summer yet. There's some houses from the late 1800s down there, I see. So some people see this and they see a problem. I don't see a problem because the solution is very easy. Clearly people are disposing of their garbage there and using the dumpster. Clearly it's not emptied enough. So I think it's a social problem, don't you? That if you have trash bins accessible to people, people will use them generally. So it's a shame that all that litter is on the street there, but it's like if there was, that dumpster was dumped by now, people would be throwing their trash inside of it. Most people. And another lot slated for development. So this must have been a pretty interesting place in the late 1800s because it probably would have been dirt roads and some daring entrepreneurs to build these buildings on the outskirts of town. And if you wanted to go into downtown, you'd walk up to the north to 7th Street and get on the streetcar. That's an old house right there. That looks like that belongs on the prairie. And some little one-story bungalows. And see down that street, I see an old house from the late 1800s. Looks like an apartment building from the 1930s or 20s. And I guess this was a part of town where every street was a commercial street. I have to wonder what someone who is maybe on vacation from a country that doesn't allow guns, or maybe has a more demure personality, what it feels like to be walking around a place like this with the cacophony of mortars exploding. So I'm gonna be a little careful around here because I don't want to be filming anything where people don't want to be filmed. This is Alvarado, which goes towards Pico Union. So Westlake and Pico Union are very similar as far as the development patterns. And as you go down there, you get more influenced by the 10 freeway. Alright, so we're gonna head back over to the park. Get into our car and get out of Beirut. sorry. All right, we're going to our car. This is crazy. It seemed like a good idea to come here on 4th of July. Langer's Delicatessen.
Dos, três, aí. Bye bye. How they working that one? I haven't one. I don't know how they working.
You don't know how to work it? Oh yeah, the microphone.
Oh, the microphone.
Yes, sir. Take it easy. That old man said he bought a camera and didn't know how to use it. Carl's Jr. I could smell it. You can always smell Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. is doing a thing where it's opening stores and storefronts now. I guess property's too expensive for drive-thrus nowadays. So all kind of food places here. I can't attest to any of them, but I'm sure some of them are delicious. It's a freaking, is that an arcade? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Lo siento. This is kind of a Rampart area. Rampart had a huge scandal. So now it's just there's, as far as I know, I don't see a whole lot of cops around here. So there we have it. We saw a portion of Westlake Macarthur Park. Mission accomplished. It would be fun to go from here to Koreatown. So maybe I'll do that sometime in the near future.